Yeah, welcome to all our friends for joining the session today. We'll just wait a couple of minutes and we'll start the session immediately. Thank you to all our friends for having taken the time out. Quite a few people are still joining in the session. We'll just wait a minute or so and we'll quickly start with the session. Yeah, we'll start with the session. Thank you to all our friends for having taken the time out and having attended today's session. तो आज का टॉपिक एक बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग कॉन्सेप्ट के ऊपर है. इट्स अ वेरी सिंपल थिंग बट इट इट लॉट ऑफ पीपल जस्ट इग्नोर इट एंड डू नॉट पे मच अटेंशन टू इट. सो मैं ये सेशन को एक बहुत ही सिंपल तरीके से एक्सप्लेन करूंगा कि ऑप्शन प्रीमियम के पीछे कौन से मेन फैक्टर्स रहते हैं जो एक्चुअल ऑप्शन प्रीमियम को ड्राइव करते हैं. जब भी हम लोग इंडेक्स ऑप्शन में ट्रेडिंग कर रहे हैं, वो जो मेन चीज़ हमारे ध्यान में रहना चाहिए वो क्या रहना चाहिए. That is what we are basically going to cover in today's session. सेशन के एंड में एक Q&A राउंड रहेगा. तो any participant who has any queries regarding the topic specific, please feel free to ask your queries at the end of the session. Yeah, so coming to the important concepts in today's trading session. तो option premium basically क्या है? See, this is a more of a basic session compared to some of the other advanced sessions that we have taken. But it covers important concepts that anyone who's trading in index options should basically know. It's more towards the index options side. मैंने बहुत सारे examples के साथ concept को लिया है. So that anyone who's trading in it, this particular product, gets a complete understanding of all the concepts. See, basics clear रहेंगे तभी आप advanced level पे आपके कोई भी doubts रहेंगे that can get cleared at an easy level. So basically what is option premium, importance of understanding price component. जो option premium है उसके लिए कौन से मेन फैक्टर्स का आपको ध्यान रखना चाहिए और वो ऑप्शन प्रीमियम क्यों बढ़ता है या घटता है. That is what we are basically discussing in today's session. It may just look like the index is moving up and down and that's why the price action is similarly happening, but that's not the case. बहुत सारे अलग अलग फैक्टर्स हैं जो एक्चुअल ऑप्शन प्राइस को मूवमेंट देता है या उसके फैक्टर्स रहते हैं. I will be talking briefly regarding option Greeks as well as the importance of the right strike price, the concept of delta, the concept of IVs. ये सारे सिनेरियोज में ऑप्शन प्रीमियम कैसे बिहेव करते हैं, ये सारे कंपोनेंट्स के रिगार्डिंग हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे आज के सेशन में. So before going towards the more complex part of the session, let's briefly understand what is option premium. See, आप अगर कैश मार्केट में ट्रेड कर रहे हो तो you basically pay the entire amount and you take the position जब भी आप कैश सेगमेंट में ट्रेड कर रहे हो. या लाइकवाइज इफ यू आर ट्रेडिंग इन फ्यूचर्स you pay what is known as the margin amount. But जब भी आप options में trade कर रहे हो, especially buying of options, that is call and put option, you are basically paying a premium. आपको अगर position लेना है, options में trade करना है, you for taking that particular position you pay what is known as option premium. And ये premium constantly fluctuate होता रहता है based on the underlying price movement. So option premium का दो components रहते हैं. It is not just one value. It actually has two parts to it. One is known as the intrinsic value and one is known as the time value. ये बहुत important है जानना because whichever strike price जो आप select कर रहे हो, especially index options में, आपको ध्यान रहना चाहिए कि आपका intrinsic value कितना है वो particular option premium का. सो सपोज द ऑप्शन प्रीमियम इज 100, आपको ध्यान रहना चाहिए कि 80 रुपीज जो है उसका दैट इज द इंट्रिंसिक वैल्यू एंड 20 इज द टाइम वैल्यू। आपको ब्रेकअप मालूम रहना चाहिए ऑफ द ऑप्शन प्रीमियम में। हर एक ऑप्शन प्रीमियम जो एट द मनी है, इन द मनी है या आउट ऑफ द मनी है, एग्जाम्पल के साथ लूंगा जब भी मैं ऑप्शन चेन एक्सप्लेन करूंगा निफ्टी का। एट दैट पर्टिकुलर टाइम आई विल एक्सप्लेन the concept in a very practical manner instead of the more theoretical concepts. I'll just explain it based on the live market option premiums. What is the intrinsic value of a particular option and what is the time value of that particular option. But at the start we basically need to understand कि हर एक option का दो भाग रहता है. One is the intrinsic value and one is known as the time value. So intrinsic value ये theoretical formula है. You don't have to pay much major attention to it, but it is important to understand the maximum value for call option is the spot minus strike price या फिर zero. So you will get a value over there. So the maximum value for a call option is this particular formula. Likewise अगर intrinsic value आपको कभी भी calculate करना है, it's based on this particular formula for put option as well. So ये call और put के लिए major difference call और put में it is the formula itself. Spot minus strike is for call option while strike minus spot it is for put options. I'll not dwell much on this because ये सब theoretical part है. I will be focusing more on the practical actual trading part of it. जो टाइम वैल्यू कंपोनेंट है, जो ऑप्शन प्रीमियम का टाइम वैल्यू कंपोनेंट है, जब भी टाइम टू एक्सपायरी ज्यादा रहता है, जैसे कि अगर आप 15th में जो अभी रिसेंट अभी जो नजदीक का एक्सपायरी है उसका अगर ऑप्शन प्रीमियम का ब्रेकअप देखोगे द टाइम वैल्यू कंपोनेंट विल बी लेस. लेकिन अगर नेक्स्ट सीरीज जो नेक्स्ट अगला वीक का एक्सपायरी है उस पर्टिकुलर ऑप्शन अगर सेम स्ट्राइक प्राइस का प्रीमियम देखोगे इट विल बी ऑन द हायर साइड. सो करंटली मार्केट्स आर एट 24,600. आज ऑलमोस्ट एक 400 पॉइंट का करेक्शन आया है मार्केट में एंड दैट्स व्हाई वी हैव कम क्लोजर टुवर्ड्स 24,600 इन ट्रेड टुडे. तो अगर आप 15th मई का 24,600 का कॉल ऑप्शन देखोगे उसका प्रीमियम रहेगा लगभग एट द मनी का है. सो इट विल बी समवेयर अराउंड 100-110. लेकिन अगर आप अगले सीरीज का सेम स्ट्राइक प्राइस का देखोगे द ऑप्शन प्रीमियम विल ऑलमोस्ट बी डबल या 180-200 के आसपास रह सकता है. द मेन रीजन फॉर दिस इज टाइम वैल्यू. जितना लंबा टाइम फ्रेम है उतना ज्यादा ऑप्शन का प्रीमियम रहेगा बिकॉज देयर इज हायर प्रोबेबिलिटी ऑफ द इवेंट ऑकरिंग. मतलब अगर आपके पास 15 या 20 दिन है आपके पास ऑप्शन का, देयर इज अ हायर लाइकलीहुड दैट द पर्टिकुलर ऑप्शन विल बिकम इन द मनी कंपेयर्ड टू जस्ट 2 days ऑफ एक्सपायरी. दैट्स वाई जो एट द मनी के ऑप्शंस रहते हैं उसका टाइम वैल्यू कंपोनेंट स्लाइटली कम रहेगा. मतलब द नियर एक्सपायरी विल हैव लेस टाइम ऑप्शन प्रीमियम compared to an option which has an expiry which is 1 month away or 2 month away. Larger the time frame, higher the time value component in that particular option. Now coming to the key main factors जो actual option premium को मतलब have a direct bearing on the price of the option that you pay. First one is the spot price. Then is the strike price, time to expiry, implied volatility, risk free interest rate. ये सारे components को मैं one by one explain करूंगा. As we go through the slides we have examples. So at that point of time I will explain to you what is meant by spot price, what is meant by strike price, time to expiry, implied volatility and risk free interest rate. See, risk free interest rate has a very small impact will have a very small impact on the option premium. The reason is जो near weekly expiries रहते हैं उससे कोई interest rate से impact नहीं आता है. It is only when there is sharp changes in interest rate then the cost of the option prices tend to go up or down. Otherwise that is for long dated options, that is मतलब जो 6 महीने 1 साल के options रहते हैं उस पे थोड़ा impact आता है if there is sharp changes in interest rate. Otherwise there is hardly any change on the 25 basis point rate cuts या rate hikes that we generally see on the weekly type of options. So that is the part that we'll avoid, but I just wanted to highlight that is also a factor in option prices. सो रोल ऑफ स्पॉट प्राइस डायरेक्ट इम्पैक्ट है, सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट वीकली एक्सपायरीज जो रहते हैं हमारे जो मार्केट में, जो वीकली एक्सपायरीज जो रहते हैं निफ्टी के, इट इज ऑलवेज बेस्ड ऑन दी स्पॉट प्राइस। तो आपको स्पॉट प्राइस का हमेशा ध्यान रखना चाहिए जब भी आप कोई भी स्ट्राइक प्राइस बाय कर रहे हो। यू हैव टू नो वेयर दी स्पॉट प्राइस इज एंड दी फ्यूचर प्राइस। कभी कभी ध्यान ऐसा रहता है कि आप सोच रहे हो कि फ्यूचर तो मेरे स्ट्राइक प्राइस के ऊपर है, फिर भी मैं लॉस में क्यों हूं। The reason is your spot price should be above the strike price that you have selected for weekly expiries. Monthly expiries या जो last expiry है month का, at that particular point of time the spot and future prices will surely converge. मतलब the future may come closer towards spot या spot में move towards the future. But जो weekly expiries जो रहते हैं उसका हमेशा spot से ही expiry होता है। मतलब you should check the price, the strike price that you have selected and the current spot price in the market of so you will have a good understanding whether you are on the profitable side or on the loss making side. A lot of time people are confused based on all these parameters. Now coming to a very important concept to understand, जब भी आप इंडेक्स में ट्रेड कर रहे हो तो आपको हमेशा ध्यान रहना चाहिए ऑफ द इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट्स ऑफ द इंडेक्स। तो अगर आप निफ्टी में स्पेसिफिकली ट्रेड कर रहे हो, विल डिस्कस अबाउट टू मेन इंडाइसेस, विल गो इनटू मोर डिटेल्स अबाउट ऑप्शन प्राइसिंग एंड हाउ इट गेट्स एक्चुअली impacted, but I just wanted to dwell on a concept of what are the main constituents of the index एंड उस पर भी क्यों ध्यान रहना चाहिए हमेशा जब भी आप ऑप्शन में ट्रेड कर रहे हो, स्पेशली इंडेक्स ऑप्शंस में। आपको टॉप 10-12 स्टॉक्स का हमेशा चार्ट आपके सामने रहना चाहिए, बिकॉज दीज आर द एक्चुअल स्टॉक्स विच कॉज द अंडरलाइन टू मूव अप एंड डाउन। तो जिसका हाईएस्ट वेटेज है निफ्टी के अंदर दैट इज HDFC बैंक। HDFC बैंक जो है उसका वेटेज जो है लगभग 12% है निफ्टी का। देन वी हैव the rest of the stocks like ICICI Bank, Reliance Industries, Infosys. Infosys has a higher weightage compared to TCS. The main reason being index जो है हमारा it is based on the concept of free float. तो Infosys का जो free float है is higher compared to TCS and that's why the number of shares which get traded of Infosys on a day-to-day basis are much higher compared to that of TCS. So based on the concept of free float market capitalization, that's where the index constituents are, means the index का जो composition बना है it's based on that. So Infosys has a higher weightage compared to TCS. So if you have a good understanding, मतलब हर एक जो index है निफ्टी का, if you know the top at least 5 to 6 stocks का weightage, that's almost 50 to 60%. So if you keep a list of the top 10 stocks as your watch list and जब भी आप call option ले रहे हो या put option ले रहे हो, it's important to have a quick glance regarding how the price action is of these individual stocks. So if the chart structure of at least the top 5-6 stocks are positive whenever you're taking a position, there is a good likelihood, it's not certainty तो market में है ही नहीं, but there is a good likelihood that the stock or means the trade that you're taking will be on the positive side if the top stocks also are aligned. So yesterday's trading session was one of the most beautiful trading sessions wherein the top two indices जिसका highest weightage है that is banking का जो weightage है निफ्टी में that is also very high and information technology. तो IT कल almost 6.5% ऊपर था and bank nifty also was up around 3.2% higher in trade. So when these two sectors which have very high weightage within nifty, when they are performing good, there is a very good chance that the markets also will do good. That's why in trade yesterday the index was up nearly 800 points. It was one of the best trading sessions for the market in nearly 8 years. So you should understand which sectors are actually driving the market. कौन से सेक्टर में मूवमेंट है आज के ट्रेडिंग सेशन में and what is it that is going to propel the markets from an intraday perspective. तो whenever you're trading in index options आपको constituents का weightage मालूम रहना चाहिए, हर एक सेक्टर का weightage मालूम रहना चाहिए. The stocks which have high weightage are going to drive the markets higher. तो ये जो पर्टिकुलर स्लाइड है मैंने NSE निफ्टी इंडाइसिस करके एक वेबसाइट है, वी हैव यूज्ड दिस पर्टिकुलर डेटा फ्रॉम देयर इटसेल्फ. तो अगर देखा जाए तो फाइनेंशियल सर्विसेज का वेटेज जो है दैट इज 37-38%, इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी जो है उसका वेटेज लगभग 11.11% है. एंड देन वी हैव ऑयल एंड गैस. तो ऑयल एंड गैस मेनली टू डू विद रिलायंस इंडस्ट्रीज. तो रिलायंस इंडस्ट्रीज का हैवी वेटेज है मार्केट में. एंड स्टिल अकॉर्डिंग टू द क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ NSE, Reliance comes under the oil and gas sector, and that's why you have oil and gas which has a weightage of nearly 10% within the Nifty index. So जब भी आप निफ्टी में ट्रेड कर रहे हो, यू शुड हैव अ गुड अंडरस्टैंडिंग दैट वेदर दिस पर्टिकुलर सेक्टर जो फाइनेंशियल सर्विसेज है वो आज पॉजिटिव ट्रेंड में है या नेगेटिव ट्रेंड में है. They give you good opportunities whenever if you see ICICI and HDFC are moving in tandem. There is a very good chance that the index will continue the momentum on the upside. तो जब भी आप इंट्राडे ट्रेडिंग कर रहे हो या स्कैल्पिंग कर रहे हो, have a quick glance at the chart structure of these individual stocks as well as sectors. But there are few challenges as well. बहुत कम बार ऐसे देखने को मिलता है कि HDFC and ICICI both of them are moving simultaneously. Many times it is HDFC and Kotak which tend to move in tandem, and on the other side it is generally Axis and ICICI Bank which tend to move together. So very rarely you will get all the stocks from the banking and financial space moving together. That's why you sometimes get a challenging picture wherein दो तीन stocks positive trend में and दो तीन stocks negative trend में, and that's where the day becomes choppy for us to trade. If all the major stocks are on the upside or the downside, that's a very easy day to trade. You don't have to worry much about the direction, means whether it's a bullish day or a bearish day. If you are an option scalper, आपको सिर्फ मोमेंटम चाहिए, एंड वो मोमेंटम आता है if all the heavyweight counters are in one direction on that particular day. So this is the basic breakdown of the index composition. ये एक बहुत ही important slide है whenever for any trader who's doing trading in index options. So you should know that कल अगर पावर सेक्टर में कोई मेजर अनाउंसमेंट भी आ जाता है, the weightage of the power sector is just 2.79%. तो भले कोई भी स्टॉक अगर पावर सेक्टर का ऑलमोस्ट सर्किट भी मारे, देयर इज अ वेरी लेस चांस दैट द इंडेक्स विल विटनेस अ 200-300 पॉइंट रैली. बट इफ देयर इज एनी पॉजिटिव अनाउंसमेंट रिगार्डिंग द फाइनेंशियल स्पेस या फिर द IT स्पेस, देयर इज अ वेरी गुड चांस दैट द मार्केट्स विल डू एक्सट्रीमली वेल. So you should know the weightage, you should know which sectors are in trend, which sectors are in flavor in the market. So this is a slide of today's trading session. I had taken it around 1:30 or so when the Nifty was down about 311 points. This data has been taken from publicly available data, money control से मैंने ये particular slide लिया है, wherein we are just telling कि when the markets are 300 points down, you should know which stock is contributing towards the movement in the market. So if you see this particular slide, when the markets were down 300 odd points in trade today, the main stock which was down 300 odd points was HDFC Bank. So HDFC Bank was the major loser in trade from an index perspective. It may not be the top loser within the market, but HDFC का जो weightage है निफ्टी के अंदर वो highest है compared to any other stock. So even when the stock is down about 1.5-2%, there is a major contribution from this particular stock in the market movement. तो आप clearly देख सकते हो there are very few stocks that are there on the positive side, and जो भी stocks भले ही positive भी है, their weightage also within the index is very less. The high weightage stocks in today's trade came under pressure. Yesterday we witnessed a very good rally, but today the high weightage stocks came under pressure. The likes of HDFC Bank, Infosys, Bharti Airtel, ICICI Bank, TCS, Reliance, ITC, ये सारे स्टॉक्स में आज सेलिंग प्रेशर देखने को मिला. It was more or less a bit of profit booking post the 800 point rally that we saw yesterday, and no one wants to take major positions, taking into consideration the slight geopolitical tension that is still there between India and Pakistan. Even though there has been a bit of peace which has been seen over the past 2-3 days, and both the countries agreeing to a bit of ceasefire, but there is still tension prevailing in the market. And that's why today, even though all the rest of the Asian markets were on the positive side, अगर आप दूसरे मेजर एशियन मार्केट्स को देखोगे या फिर यूएस फ्यूचर्स को भी अगर देखोगे, they were relatively on the positive side, but still our markets came under a bit of pressure. Whenever you're trading index, there is no point, absolutely no point thinking why the markets are up today, 800 points up today, and today the very next day why the markets are 400 points down. That's not our job. हमारा जॉब सिर्फ मार्केट को ट्रेड करना है बेस्ड ऑन व्हाट इज अवेलेबल इन फ्रंट ऑफ द स्क्रीन. डू नॉट गो टू ओवर थिंक अबाउट द रीजंस व्हाई द मार्केट्स आर एक्चुअली मूविंग ऑन द अपसाइड और द डाउनसाइड. इसके ऊपर हमारा कोई कंट्रोल नहीं है, एंड देयर इज एब्सोल्युटली नथिंग दैट वी कैन डू. व्हाट वी कैन डू इज जस्ट ट्रेड द ऑप्शन प्रीमियम्स जो हमारे सामने है, एंड दैट इज ऑल्सो अ वेरी चैलेंजिंग थिंग because even though the markets may look 300 points down today, it was almost 150 points within the first 15 minutes itself. उसके बाद पूरे दिन में the index just grinded and slowly moved about 120 points lower. So even though overall it may look 300 points lower, but there were very few trading opportunities in trade today. अगर कल के सेशन के बारे में डिस्कस करें, there was an absolute beautiful one directional move in the market. तो कल के ट्रेडिंग सेशन में मल्टीपल बाइंग अपॉर्चुनिटीज मिल रहे थे. एवरी डिप acted as a buying opportunity. Today it was a very choppy and a sideways kind of market, even though the index was down 300 odd points. So it is important to understand the chart structure, understand the type of day that you're trading in. Within the first half an hour, 1 hour, you will understand the price action for that particular day. आज एक साइडवेज मूवमेंट होने का चांस है या एक वन डायरेक्शनल ट्रेंडिंग मार्केट होने का चांस है. You will get a very good understanding by 10:15, 10:30 for the markets. And anyone who does scalping will surely understand based on the price action of the 5-minute or the 10-minute candles, whether it is going to be a trending day or it is going to be a sideways consolidation for the markets. So this is a slide which everyone needs to track. जो भी scalping कर रहा है markets में, you should know which are the stocks which are contributing towards the market movement and what is the price action for the individual stocks. This is the next other major index जो हम लोग trade करते हैं, that is Sensex. So Sensex का भी weightage जानना बहुत ही important है. हर एक stock का जो weightage है Sensex के अंदर. See, Nifty is a composition of top 50 stocks. Sensex is a composition of the top 30 stocks. तो Sensex ज़्यादा volatile है compared to Nifty, purely based on the less number of stocks leads to higher volatility. तो weightage जो है HDFC का वो सबसे highest है. Similar likewise to Nifty itself, but the weightage for HDFC is slightly even more higher because there are fewer number of stocks. So HDFC commands the highest weightage, followed by ICICI Bank, उसके बाद Reliance Industries, Infosys, Bharti Airtel, then we have TCS, Larsen and Toubro, ITC, Axis Bank, State Bank of India. ये 10 स्टॉक है जिसका वेटेज हमने डिस्प्ले किया है. दिस पर्टिकुलर इंफॉर्मेशन ऑल्सो इज रेडिली अवेलेबल ऑन द BSE वेबसाइट. तो जो भी BSE में भी ऑप्शंस में ट्रेड कर रहे हैं, इट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू नो द सेक्टोरियल ब्रेकडाउन of the particular index, and once you understand the sectorial breakdown, it is important to know the individual stock weightage as well. So this is for all the intraday traders जो भी trading कर रहे हैं. It is good to know which stocks are actually driving the price action on the upside or the downside for the particular index for that particular day. Now moving to the concept of selecting the strike prices based on the market chart structure. So this is the current chart structure of Nifty at present. Post the sharp breakout जो हमने देखा था in yesterday's trading session where the index rallied nearly 800 points. It clearly was a one directional breakout. Everyone expected the momentum to continue on the upside, but unfortunately the trend has reversed to an extent. It's not a complete reversal of the trend. We still hold a view that the markets can still continue the positive momentum till the time yesterday's low is not breached, because that will be a complete reversal of an 800 point rally. So there is still hope that we could hold and continue the momentum on the upside, but that's what it is. The chart structure currently definitely has deteriorated a bit. No one was expecting a 350-400 point correction in trade today. So based on this, if you look at the option chain, so now we will understand each of the individual concepts of at the money, out of the money, and in the money options, and what is the intrinsic value, what is the time value of each of these options. So if you see, currently Nifty is at 24,600 odd levels, and अगर आप at the money का call option अगर आप buy करोगे, the option premium is about 160. So option premium, like I mentioned, it is the price that you pay to take a position in that particular strike price. So it's not just 160 rupees that you have to pay to take a position. You have to pay 160 into Nifty ka lot size, that is 75. So that is going to be your total investment. So that will be around 11 and a half, 12,000 is going to be your cost of this particular transaction. 160. So yeah, so that if it was 200, it would have been somewhere around 15,000. Since it is 160, somewhere around 12,000 is going to be your cost of this particular transaction. And ये जो 160 है, that is completely time value. Now I will explain the concept of time value and intrinsic value in a much more simple manner through this particular slide itself. जो इंट्रेंसिक वैल्यू जो रहता है, इट इज ओनली देयर फॉर इन द मनी ऑप्शंस, कॉल साइड हो या पुट साइड हो. इंट्रेंसिक वैल्यू जो कंपोनेंट रहता है वो सिर्फ इन द मनी ऑप्शंस में देखा जाता है. जो आउट ऑफ द मनी या एट द मनी ऑप्शंस रहते हैं, उसका जो प्रीमियम कंपोनेंट है, इट इज प्योरली एंड प्योरली टाइम वैल्यू. तो 24,600 जो है, दैट इज एन एट द मनी ऑप्शन, क्योंकि निफ्टी अभी 24,000 के लगभग लेवल्स के आसपास है या उससे थोड़ा नीचे है. So clearly 24,600 is an at the money option, and जो 160 उसका option premium जो है, that is completely time value. What I mean by this is, अगर index जो 15th May का जो expiry है, if the index closes at 24,600 on expiry, this option premium will become zero. It has no intrinsic value. It has completely time value. Highest time value जो रहता है, अगर कैलकुलेशन अगर हम लोग एक प्लॉट करें, टाइम वैल्यू का एक ग्राफ प्लॉट करें, द हाईएस्ट टाइम वैल्यू इज एसोसिएटेड विद एट द मनी ऑप्शंस. जो एट द मनी ऑप्शंस रहते हैं उसका हाईएस्ट टाइम वैल्यू रहता है, एंड जो डीप आउट ऑफ द मनी ऑप्शंस रहते हैं या डीप इन द मनी ऑप्शंस रहते हैं, द टाइम वैल्यू टेंड्स टू बी स्लाइटली लेसर फॉर दीज पर्टिकुलर ऑप्शंस. So if you want to consider to buy deep in the money options, instead of buying the option, it is better to trade in the futures itself rather than buying deep in the money options. So the 24,600 call option and the 24,600 put option, both of them have option premium जो है, it is completely time value. So now we'll take another example. So suppose you take the example of 24,500 call option. So 24,500 becomes slightly in the money because the spot value of Nifty is about, this particular example I have taken when I made the slide around 230. So take into consideration, after that also there was a bit of selling pressure in the market. But if you just take purely from an understanding perspective, 24,600 spot is where the markets are. And if you take the 24,500 call option, the option premium is around 216. So in this particular case, we have 100 rupees, which is the intrinsic value, because 24,600 is where the spot is. So spot is above the strike price of the call option. That's why we have 100 rupees as the intrinsic value, and 116 is the time value component. So you can clearly see the time value component is less compared to at the money. At the money में जो भी premium है वो पूरा का पूरा time value है. 160 is the complete time value. When we go slightly lower, that is in the money, the time value component tends to reduce. So we have 24,500 call option, which has a total premium of 216, wherein 116 is the time value and 100 is the intrinsic value. So I hope everyone is clearly able to understand from this. Now if you take a slightly out of the money option, something like 24,800 या फिर 24,900, clearly whatever is there, suppose something 60 or 70 rupees is the option premium, the entire option premium is the time value component. So as you go deeper out of the money, the option premium tends to reduce because there is less probability. जो option जो आप select भी कर रहे हो, there should be a probability, there is a probability associated with all the strike price जो आप buy कर रहे हो. हर एक strike price का एक probability event रहता है of that particular strike price closing in the money by the time expiry comes. So this is the call side of it. Likewise we have the put side of it as well. तो जो भी strike prices 24,600 के ऊपर है for put options, these are in the money, and whichever strike prices are below 24,600, it is out of the money for put option. It's the exact opposite. If you flip it out, that's what it is for understanding at the money, in the money, and out of the money for call and put options. Now coming to another important concept of implied volatility. We'll be going to other concepts of option premium as well, that is the delta part of it, gamma part of it, जो option Greeks में आते हैं. But another important concept is IV जो हम लोग बोलते हैं. हर एक ऑप्शन का जो अगर आप स्ट्रक्चर में भी अगर ऑप्शन चेन में अगर भी आप देखोगे, if you see clearly the option chain, first, second, third, fourth column for call side is IV. Likewise put option side पे भी IV का एक column है. So IV is basically telling you based on the current volatility that the market participants expect. We have a component known as IV. IV जब भी बढ़ता है market में, the option premiums tend to become expensive. So it is just the option sellers which are pricing in the volatility in the market, and that's how the IVs tend to increase and decrease based on demand and supply, based on the volatility in the market. तो अगर आप आईवी को हिस्टोरिकल वॉलेटिलिटी से कंपेयर करें, मतलब हिस्टोरिकली इफ यू सी 10 days prior to expiry what is the IVs, and or 20 days prior what has been the historical volatility, and if you check कि अभी volatility 2025 पे है, लेकिन अगर 5-6 महीने का डेटा देखोगे, that is somewhere around 16-18 levels is what the IVs tend to be, then you will know that the current IV value is more than the historical values. So that is also a very good thing to judge whether the option premium abhi महंगा है या सस्ता है. It is based on the IV also. So higher the volatility in the market, higher is the IV and higher is the cost of the option premium. So जब भी मार्केट में हेवी वॉलेटिलिटी रहता है, अगर आपको कभी भी ध्यान रहे इलेक्शंस के पहले या फिर बजट के पहले या फिर कोविड के टाइम पे भी जब भी एक्सट्रीम वॉलेटिलिटी रहता था, wherein the volatility just shot up above its historical volatilities, option के जो प्रीमियम भी थे वो extremely महंगे थे compared to the historical data points. So that is where the opportunity also is. जब भी volatility बढ़ता है, it does not mean that the options have just simply become expensive. There is a reason why the options have become expensive, because that much range of movement can come about in the market. So if you are able to get the direction right at that point of time, even after paying a high option premium, there is good chance of making money in those scenarios as well. So these are a few of the key scenarios wherein the volatility in the markets tend to increase. ये सारे कारण reasons के कारण volatility बढ़ता है. One of course is war, which is currently prevailing in the market, and that's why we have seen the volatility or the type of intraday price action increase on both the sides. It's not a one directional movement in the market. So war is one of the major reasons why volatility increases. Another is political instability or elections. Whenever there is any major country which is going into an election phase, or whenever there is political instability, that's also the time when the volatility increases. Market never likes uncertainty. कभी भी market को uncertainty पसंद नहीं है, and whenever the uncertainty increases, we witness the option prices also tend to increase on the upside. Immediately जब भी event खत्म हो जाता है, immediately once the event is over, we know we have what is known as an IV crush. तो जो हाई IVs जो रहते हैं, इवेंट खत्म होते ही वो IV crush हो जाता है, means the IVs come down drastically. So even though the index may go in your direction, आपके फेवर में जा सकता है इंडेक्स, but due to the IV crush, the option premiums drastically reduce. So कभी भी ये भी जो regular traders हैं, they might have also observed this, that many times you are able to get the direction correct of the market, but due to IV crush you are still not able to come out on the profitable side. तो जो आपने महंगे options लिए थे वो immediately नीचे आ जाते हैं post the event getting over, because now the market knows event खत्म हो चुका है, सारा uncertainty निकल चुका है market से, there is nothing new or something unpredictable which is going to come about. So immediately once the event is over, we have what is known as an IV crush, और उस समय ऑप्शन के प्रीमियम्स ड्रास्टिकली रेड्यूस हो जाते हैं, दैट इज इफ द ऑप्शन IVs वर एक्सेसिवली हाई. These are two methods जो हमने लास्ट टाइम भी डिस्कस किए थे टू determine the IV of the market, to determine whether the current IV is on the higher side or the lower side. One is IV rank and the other is IV percentile. So IV rank is basically comparing the you best take this particular formula, that is the current IV minus the 52-week low divided by the 52-week high and the 52-week low. So based on this particular formula, you come to know whether the IVs at any particular point of time is on the higher side or the lower side. Likewise, the other method to calculate whether the IV is on the higher side or the lower side is another mathematical formula known as the IV percentile. तो ये दूसरा method है to determine whether the IV is on the higher side or the lower side. Both these formulas you can make use of to determine whether the volatility or the implied volatility is currently जो current scenario में है, it is compared to the historical data that we have, whether it is on the higher side or the lower side. The only challenge in this is you need the data, which is slightly difficult to get for all the participants, but there are softwares which provide the IV charts जो हम लोग बोलते हैं, so that you can clearly come to know what is the 52-week high of the IV, what is the 52-week low of the IV, मतलब एक particular Nifty के लिए what has been the historical IVs. So that particular data is required to calculate this particular formula. But even if you take general assumption, most of the times अगर आप at the money के options देखोगे, उसका अगर IV आप calculate करोगे, generally it tends to be between 16 to 18. 16 is generally where it tends to be, that is the weekly options. तो आप अगर एट द मनी कॉल और पुट को जोड़ोगे और उसको डिवाइड करोगे 2 से, you that's what the at the money IV is all about. It's a very simple thing. There are different calculations. Some people take 4 strike prices call option, 4 strike prices put option from the at the money, and we make the average and then we calculate the IV for call and put. The absolute simple thing is you take the at the money call and put option and you divide the IV, means you add call at the money call option IV plus at the money put option IV, and then you divide it by 2, and that is the rough estimate of the IV of the market. IV is also made use of to determine the range of the market. ये हमने last time भी discuss किया था कि how we can make use of the IV to determine the range of the market, and based on this there are a lot of option sellers जो option selling करते हैं beyond this particular range. So if you have the IV as 0.2, you divide it by the number of trading days in the year. So we have practically about 252 trading days. That's why we do this particular formula. And the number of days left to expiry. तो अगर ये particular month में 13 days are left for expiry, you multiply it by the square root of 13. You get a value which is closer towards 4.5%. So basically what we are telling is Nifty can move by 4.5% either on the upside or on the downside during this particular expiry. So that's how people make use of IVs to determine the range of the market whenever you're trading in index options. And this is being told with a confidence level of 68%. Confidence level be important here because it is a probability game. It's not that we can confidently tell with an accuracy of 90-95% that Nifty will remain in a range of 4.5%. But there is a very good chance that from the current levels, the index from the next 13 trading sessions will remain in this particular range. Now coming to the last concept of option Greeks and how they impact the option prices. So we'll start one by one. We have delta, then we have gamma, then we have vega, we have theta, and then we have rho. तो ऐसे करके 5 ऑप्शन ग्रीक्स है. We have an entire session on option Greeks. My next session is completely on option Greeks itself. So today I will not stress so much on option Greeks, but I'll explain the basic concepts of the option Greeks and what are the 2-3 main important ones that anyone has to track. So delta जो है, that is a very important parameter to track. The other one is gamma and vega. Vega is basically the volatility part of the option Greek, and the last one is theta जो time value component है. So first we'll start with delta. So delta is basically telling you if the index, that is the spot जो निफ्टी अभी 24,600 पे है. So if you buy the 24,600 call option, आप clearly ये particular slide में देख सकते हो, 24,600 is at the money जो मैंने multiple slides में explain किया है. So that particular strike price has a delta of 0.5. तो इसका ये मतलब है कि अगर कल निफ्टी 100 पॉइंट ऊपर चला जाता है, the option price will more or less move by 50 points in your favor, क्योंकि you multiply 100 by 0.5, so you end up with a figure of 50. But do note, ये जो डेल्टा जो है ये एक स्टैटिक नंबर नहीं है. मार्केट जैसे जैसे आपके फेवर में जाता है, द डेल्टा ऑल्सो कीप्स ऑन चेंजिंग. So delta will move from 0.5 closer towards 0.55, 0.6 on the upside. ये जो मैं जो कॉन्सेप्ट बता रहा हूँ कि डेल्टा ऑल्सो कीप्स ऑन चेंजिंग, दैट इज बेस्ड ऑन द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ गैमा. जो गैमा जो है वो एक सेकंड ऑर्डर डेरिवेटिव है. सो गैमा जनरली आप ये स्लाइड में भी देख सकते हो, गैमा का जो वैल्यू है बहुत ही कम रहता है, 0.001. व्हाट इट बेसिकली मीन्स इज गैमा अगर एक नंबर से भी बड़ा, so if you take 10 points change in the underlying, so you multiply 10 into that particular figure 0.001, that will mean a 1 point change. So जो निफ्टी का जो at the money का जो डेल्टा है 0.5, that will become 0.51. that much amount of change comes. अगर 10 point का change आ जाता है underlying में, so if a 100 point change comes in the underlying, then you multiply it by 0.001, and that's what the change is going to come. So so the delta will become 0.6 in that particular case. So you require a good amount of change in the underlying for the delta to move from 0.5 to closer towards 1. अगर gamma high है, that's a good thing for the option buyers, because the rate of change of delta will also be at a very quick pace. That's what the option buyer wants. Option buyer जो है, he always wants the delta to change at a very rapid pace. तो उसके लिए गैमा का वैल्यू हाई रहना बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है. करंट सिनेरियो का जो गैमा है, दैट इज 0.001. दैट इज नॉट मच, मतलब वो जनरली लोअर साइड का वैल्यू है. समथिंग बिटवीन 0.001 एंड 0.003 is a normal gamma value, and any gamma value above 0.003 is on the higher side. So generally we would want a high value of gamma, because that will mean that we will get fast explosion of option premium in our favor. That's what I basically wanted to tell. And the last one is theta, जो है आप थीटा का भी वैल्यू देख सकते हो. इट बेसिकली मीन्स फॉर एन ऑप्शन बायर, अगर ऑप्शन उसी लेवल पे वो पर्टिकुलर डे पे रहा एंड द थीटा वैल्यू इज सपोज 30-35, इट बेसिकली मीन्स दैट योर ऑप्शन प्रीमियम विल इरोड बाय 35 रुपीज बाय द एंड ऑफ द डे. तो अगर आपका ऑप्शन प्रीमियम 150 है और आज का थीटा वैल्यू जो है वो 35 है, दैट बेसिकली मीन्स दैट बाय द एंड ऑफ द ट्रेडिंग डे 150 minus 35 is what you're going to be left by. Your view has not changed, index has not gone anywhere, it's absolutely at the same level, but theta is a friend of the option seller and it is negative for the option buyer. So as every passing day goes by, the theta value changes and it erodes the option premium. So at the start of the week, theta का जो value रहेगा वो highest रहेगा. So you have something, the graph is constantly on the decline, wherein there is a faster pace of decline as we come closer towards expiry. जैसे जैसे हम लोग expiry के पास नजदीक आ जाते हैं, the rate of option premium also tends to decrease at a rapid pace. So this is the last slide regarding the concepts. This is once again regarding option Greeks, that is delta. What I basically wanted to tell is delta tells, does just not the telling you the telling कि अगर 100 रुपए से ऑप्शन अंडरलाइन चला जाता है तो आपका प्रीमियम कितने से जाता है. इट्स ऑल्सो टेलिंग यू दैट द प्रोबेबिलिटी ऑफ सक्सेस. तो अगर आपका डेल्टा का वैल्यू 0.5 है, there is a 50% chance that by the time expiry comes, तो करंट एग्जांपल पे 24,600 का जो कॉल ऑप्शन है उसका डेल्टा 0.5 है. So what it basically means that there is 50% chance that by 15th of May, the index, that is Nifty spot, will close above 24,600. If you take 25,000 strike price, the delta may be somewhere around 0.15, 0.2, something like that. So it basically means that there is just about 12 to 15% chance that Nifty will close above 25,000 by the time expiry comes. There was a very good chance. Agar yesterday if we see 25,000 was just about 70 points away, but today if you see it's 450 points away. So the delta value also changes as the underlying market value changes. So like we have got a 400-point correction, the 25,000 strike price has become slightly away, that is out of the money, and that's why the delta has reduced. So delta gives you, in terms of probability of success, also it gives you a very good understanding of whether your option is going to close in the money or out of the money by the time expiry comes. This is a very simple example of selecting the right strike price. अगर आप out of the money option select करोगे, even though you are able to capture a good chunk of the underlying movement of the market, your option premium will not move by a major percentage points. So what we are trying to capture is if you are a scalper, अगर आप scalper हो, you are basically trying to capture the maximum option premium, and that's best captured when you do trading in at the money options rather than deep in the money or out of the money options. So that's what I basically wanted to highlight in this particular slide. जब भी आप इंडेक्स ऑप्शंस में ट्रेडिंग कर रहे हो, always consider to do trading in at the money options rather than deep in the money or deep out of the money options. Yeah, that's an end of today's session. Thank you so much to all our friends for having taken the time out and having attended today's session. So anyone has any queries regarding the session, please feel free to ask your queries. So it was more or less a very basic session regarding option premiums, but there are a lot of people who still have these particular doubts. So that's why we got this particular request to conduct the session on option premiums, understand for the options what is meant by at the money, in the money. Thank you. And now we can start with the Q&A session. Anyone who has any queries regarding any of the questions regarding the topic, please feel free to ask. Thank you. So we have one question regarding Nifty status. That's a very tough, challenging question to answer. No one knows the absolute direction. But at the current juncture, still we believe that till the time we do not breach yesterday's low, we still have a positive momentum on the upside. And we believe that today, even though there has been a bit of intensive selling pressure, the overall chart structure has not deteriorated. If you saw, the mid cap and small cap space actually were really good in trade today. Today was the expiry for Sensex, so that could also have contributed towards the negative price action in the markets. Tomorrow, hopefully, we can resume the overall trajectory, and the trend should or more or less continue on the positive side. It's tough to tell, but there is a good chance that we may continue the positive momentum. Looking at the broader chart structure of some of the mid cap and small cap stocks. How to use all the parameters of so they basically, you will, no analyst can make use of all the parameters, sir, but the best parameters, whatever you're comfortable in, you can make use of it. From the app point of view, we have integrated trading view, which is a very good, fantastic platform. On the mobile applications, we are constantly in development phase. There are a lot of new features which are constantly being added to, and if you have a good hang of trading view as a platform, you should be able to use the best features of it. Everything depends on the comfort level, how you have used the software. For some traders, just the price action is enough. Some make use of the basic frontline indicators such as RSI and MACD for their trading perspective. Uh, so based on your comfort levels, you can make use of it. So regarding a particular stock, I'll come to that after this particular question. NTPC green. I'll just take the next question first, which is related to this particular topic. And then if we still have time and there are no questions, I'll take the query regarding NTPC green. So if you take, if the delta is, so the question is, if the delta is 0.6, what is the probability that Nifty closes above? So perfect. So 0.6 delta, now suppose Nifty is at 24,600 level. So 24,600 will have a delta of 0.5. So we'll have to go 1-2 strikes below. So 24,500 may be having a delta of 0.6. What it basically means is there is 60% chance that Nifty will close about 24,500 by the time this particular expiry, that is 15th of May, comes about. So that's how you can make use of delta as a probability gauge. It's not a certainty. There is nothing certain when you're trading index options, but that's how traders make use of delta as a probability estimate. So something, if you take a deep in the money option, something like 24,000, it will have a delta of nearly 0.75, 0.8, or even higher. I am not aware of the delta of the current. It's a deep in the money option, so it will be closer towards 1. What it basically means from understanding perspective is there is a very good chance that Nifty, even though within the next 2 trading sessions, may close about 24,000 by the time the expiry comes. Yeah, so there is a question from Nikhil regarding the fall of premium is faster than gain for the premium in the case of a long straddle. For example, any suggestions for handling that? Sir, I agree with your point completely. The speed at which option premiums reduce is much faster compared to the gain. Even though you get the direction right, there is a challenge in this particular thing. When you do a long straddle, it should be event based generally. It should not be on a daily basis, because long straddle you require you require it to be extremely fast. The movement should come about extremely fast and swift, and only in that particular scenario you will end up making money. And the movement in the market should be so huge that you are able to compensate for one's loss. Matlab, you are, if it's a long straddle, you have bought both the call and put option and expecting sharp movement. So long straddle basically means you have bought the at the money call and put option. So the movement in the market should be such that it should overcome the loss of one particular leg of the straddle. This very rarely happens. These are event based strategies generally, and or if there is sudden one directional movement in the market. But that is a challenge for all the option buyers. It has nothing to do with this particular strategy. The probability of success in terms of option buying is 33%. For option selling it is 66%. But the challenge with option selling is the sharp movements which can come about and the risk associated with it, as well as the profit is limited to an extent. So there is, it's a challenge. I agree that nothing can be done wherein the option premium erodes at a very fast pace if the market goes into a sideways consolidation. Especially today, in the second half of the day, we witnessed an extremely rapid pace of option premium erosion. For a very good part of the day, during the start of the day, the option premiums were at elevated level. Even I had attempted 1-2 options wherein the option prices were holding, but post 12:30 we witnessed an extremely rapid pace of option premium erosion, wherein even though the markets were at the same level, we saw that the option premium of at the money call and put options deteriorated by nearly 15-20 points within just half an hour of trade. Should delta be high or less for the buyers? It should be low when you're buying it, and once you buy it, it should move fast. So you suppose you buy the at the money option which has a delta of 0.5. Post buying it, you want the delta to increase. That means your option becomes in the money wherein your delta moves from 0.5 to 0.6 to 0.7. In that case, it will be beneficial for you. Either if you're a buyer of a call option or a buyer of a put option, you want the delta to be constantly increasing once you have purchased. When you purchase it, it should be relatively okay. Generally, at the money options are what we generally suggest to all our traders who are doing scalping in the market. You generally should be buying at the money options. That's because that's where the maximum return on investment for taking into consideration the risk also is associated with. So you want the delta to constantly change once you have purchased the option. So I'll take the last question now regarding NTPC green. One second. So for that, I'll just have to go to the chart of it. So please hold on. So NTPC green, if you see from currently the market price is at 102. The stock is good but from a slightly longer term perspective. Currently, if you see since the bottom that the markets made on 3rd of March, 7th of March, the stock has witnessed a decent recovery from the levels of 84. We have come towards 102 at the current juncture. The chart structure also is of a higher top, higher bottom chart structure. अगर आप daily chart देखोगे, the recent swing high was of 112 and recently we made a swing low of 94, 95 levels. So till the time the support zone of 93 to 91 is where there is major support for the stock, and we believe that till the time this particular zone is not breached, we could anticipate and make a fresh high. So if 112 is taken out, the next logical target on the upside is around 122 for this particular counter. So if you have a position, you can hold it with a stop loss of around 91, 93 levels. And on the upside, once 112 is taken out, which is its recent swing high, we could see further positive momentum. Yeah, so that's an end of today's session. Thank you to all our friends for having taken the time out and having attended all our sessions. So it's a privilege to conduct the sessions for all of you. Thank you so much for once again for having attended the session today. Thank you.